In this video, we're going to do a quick run through of the Proposal Kit's RFP Analyzer. Now, this is a new feature that uses our AI system where you can drop in files from an RFP and take it all the way through to creating a first draft of the response proposal. So we're going to use a small scale project just to keep the video a little shorter. So this example is going to be a website development company, a local business doing a small business project for a local plumbing company, where that company needs to have a website created, a social media site set up, and a local SEO campaign put together. So this will illustrate using a simpler version of an RFP, which is basically just client notes that someone wrote up in an interview and ran those through the RFP Analyzer. All right, click button 2, Document Projects, and we will add a new project. In this case, we've already set up the project, so we're just going to edit. And you see we haven't selected any chapters. Part of the RFP analysis is the RFP Analyzer will actually select the chapters for us, so we're not going to do that ahead of time. Now we have filled in company data and client data. We filled in those forms because those will be used by the RFP Analyzer and AI Writer. So you'll see a new button here called RFP Analyzer. Click that. Now the process of using the RFP Analyzer is you want to import the RFP document. So the tabs will go from left to right. So the first tab, RFP Documents, we're going to import whatever RFP related documents there are, attachments, and so on. And you're going to import Word and PDF files. And once those are imported, we'll make sure any PDFs are converted to Word, and then we'll start the analysis. So the other tabs along here, Start Analysis. These are going to be the operations we can run. Results. This tab will have the results of those operations. And the last tab is your standard AI credits account login screen, which you'll see in other places in the wizard. All right, to start off, we're going to add a document. And we're just going to go browse to the notes that were taken. All right, so I've selected a file, a PDF document that are the client interview notes. Now, normally that probably would have just been a Word document, but I'm going to illustrate the conversion of PDFs to Word documents because many times an RFP might be coming across with PDF documents. And we'll just give this a title. The titles and descriptions can be used by the RFP Analyzer to make more sense of the files you're giving it. So give these descriptive titles and descriptions. All right, so add that, and we can stay here and add multiple files if there's more than one file related to the RFP, otherwise just close. Now we've got the file here, and you see the yellow arrow. Yellow arrow is usually going to dictate like the next thing or an operation you should be doing, so just kind of look for those. So this is a PDF document, so we want to make sure that gets converted to Word. Now you can see the format says Word and PDF. So if we open, it's going to ask us if we want to open the PDF or the Word version. All right, so we click No for the PDF. So there's the PDF version of the notes, the original. Or if I say yes, we're going to get the Word version. This was exported from the PDF, so we can make edits to it if we needed to. All right, so we're done with the RFP document loading. Now, you see the yellow arrow went to Start Analysis. So the first step, pre-process, that's a required step. That does not use the AI. That's just local. And what that does is that will run through the RFP documents, and if it's broken up by chapters, it's a longer RFP, it'll break that up into pieces and get those pieces ready to run through the rest of the operations. So because this is client notes, it's really just a going to one-shot the entire RFP in one operation. And just let it go through. It'll export everything, and it's basically setting up everything else that's going to happen. All right, so, and it gives us a little report. It tells us what the estimated AI credits are for each of the following operations. This is a pretty simple report in this case because it didn't really have to break up the RFP into multiple chunks. All right, so now the pre-process is done. Now it's put us on build chapter list. So what this does is this is going to go off to the AI and let the AI determine what chapters the response proposal should have in it. And if we want to double check how many credits, it'll give us an estimate of the credits needed. And those credits will be based on how extensive, how many chapters are in the RFP itself, and how complex the particular operation is. All right, so now we'll start this RFP. Now we'll start the RFP analysis. And just kick back and wait for it. It's going to have to make some AI calls, which can sometimes be a few minutes long. All right, so this is finished. And it'll pop us over to the results. We can open up the results. And it picked out 4 chapters that should go in the response proposal: packages, scope of work, timeline, and a maintenance plan. Kind of gives us a little breakdown. Then it'll add in a few default chapters like a cover letter, front and back covers, table of contents. And it basically just gives us a list of these are the topics it found in the RFP, or the client notes in this case, and then how it mapped those to Proposal Kit chapters. Now if we want, we can close out of the RFP Analyzer, and now you see we have some chapters here. So you can see our project has been loaded with all those chapters found in the RFP Analyzer. And we'll just pop back into the RFP Analyzer here and see what other reports we have. So there's 2 other steps here. Now, if we were not going to use the AI writer to create the response proposal first draft, we don't really need to run this other operation. So you can use the RFP Analyzer operations whether you are going to use the Proposal Pack Wizard and Proposal Kit to create the response proposal, or you can even use the RFP Analyzer as a separate tool if you're using, say, some completely different system to actually create your proposals. Now, you see only 4 operations here, so over the coming months we're going to be adding a lot more operations here for creating various additional reports and content through the RFP Analyzer. So things such as risk analysis reports, eligibility, requirement reports, compliance matrix pages, glossaries, things like that. So there'll be a lot more operations coming soon here. Now, if we move on to the Build AI Writer instructions, now this operation will set up the AI writer. So what will happen is, once we run this operation, it's going to go back through the RFP, chapter by chapter, or their client notes in this case, and it's going to write up a list of Q&A, questions and answers, that you can drop in your answers to. And once you've done that, that lets the AI writer completely create your first draft for you. So we'll run this RFP analysis tool. So now it's going back, calling the AI to process the RFP again and create a Q&A session. All right, so now that's been analyzed. we can take a look at the report. And it basically gives us a count of, it found, say, 17 informational items, some requirements, and so on. And these will all be found over in the actual Q&A session. So this is just a quick general report of what it created, and I'll show you the actual Q&A here in a second. Now the last operation, build submission rules report, I'm not going to run that in this example because this is just a client notes type of RFP, so there aren't any submission guidelines in those client notes, so this operation in this case wouldn't create anything. For a complex RFP that has formatting rules and required dates and who needs to be contacted and how it needs to be responded to and what must be included, more complex RFP, the submission rules report will create a more complex output. So there'll be another video on this for a more complex RFP. But for now, we can go out of the RFP Analyzer. All right, so I'm going to pop into the Pick Document screen, and we're going to add a financial chapter. Financial topics like cost summaries, budgets, things like that are not written by the AI system. Those are done by the line item quote system. So we'll throw in an estimate. So you can see a complete proposal created where you're combining the line item quote system and the RFP Analyzer and AI Writer. All right, now we have pre-filled in the line item quote system here for both a schedule and an estimate. So you can see here we've already pre-filled in our line item quote system with the complete breakdown of all the implementation items, their durations, and so on. And we've put in some products and services and costs. So all of these will be used independently of the AI system. Okay. Now we go down to the AI Writer, and you can see in the AI Writer, now there are other videos that go into depth on the AI Writer. So the RFP Analyzer just sets up the AI Writer. And we've got the AI Writer set up to create all the narrative pages. And we've got our default settings. You know, we're an IT company, a website development company, and we're writing this to a small business client. And these are the files the RFP Analyzer just created for us. So let's say scope of work. So the RFP Analyzer created for every page, every narrative page, an instructions, a Q&A instructions document. New site for WordPress. That was pulled from those client notes. The pages, you can see here all the requirements for what needs to go into the website. That was pulled from the client notes. These are all the important things that they came up with in the interview session. So you just need to paste in your answers for what you're going to do for the client here. And say client data. So it pulled in a bunch of information from the client notes into here, and it gives a couple questions that it needed answers to. So I'm going to really quick, I'm just going to fill in these Q&A session really quick. And we'll skip ahead a second here. All right, now we've finished filling in the instructions files. So for example, this is just the packages, maintenance plan. So you can see these are pretty simple, and you'll see in a bit how this all gets turned into an actual full response proposal. Now the scope of work, that's the more complicated one. So this is where all of the client notes kind of got turned into requirements, questions, and answers. So like all the answers, this is where we kind of pasted in what we're actually doing for the client. So the AI system isn't just making up stuff. You know, you're not using the AI to actually do your work for you and figure out everything. You're giving it your actual information. You're letting the AI restructure the text to make it all logical and structured and readable. Here's the project data. Information about the client. And you already saw the company. So our instructions are set up. And we are ready to run the AI writer to create the first draft response proposal from the client interview notes that were run through the RFP Analyzer. And just kick back and wait for it to work. It's only going to create 4 pages in this case. All right, so AI writer's finished. And you can see here's the cover letter. So given all the RFP instructions, client notes, our answers to Q&A session, there's our cover letter it wrote. The scope of work. Now, these are the raw outputs from the AI writer, so it's not built into the full proposal yet. So you can make edits here if you want, or you can just skip any edits, wait till the whole thing's... There's other videos that already go into the AI writer. We'll just do a quick little build here of the whole thing. So we'll get out of the AI writer. Okay, so here's where we're at. We came into a blank project. We filled in manually the company data, the client data. We ran the RFP Analyzer, which wound up selecting our project chapters for us. We then created the instructions files using the RFP Analyzer that the AI writer used. We ran the AI writer on those instructions after we filled in the questions, which built the content. We manually put in a line item quote and some schedule information. So now that everything is in the project that's set up, we're going to build the first draft. All right, now it's generated the actual first draft of the full proposal. All right, so you can see our cover letter. And all of this writing, this is straight out of the AI system. So you can see how good the quality is, and it completely pulls in information about the company, the client, everything that was requested in the interview notes, everything is handled here. So all you have to do is edit and read everything to make sure that everything is correct. Do some cleanup, so you can see here, we might clean up some of the stuff, put in the work phone, something like that. So we're doing minor editing, reading, and just cleaning up. So you can see this is the front cover out of the Proposal Kit, one of our design themes, table of contents. So here's the scope of work. This is the most complex page that the AI writer and RFP Analyzer created for us. You can see it pulled in the actual personnel, all the deliverables, benefits, milestones, management information, expected results. Here's the estimate. And another little bit of cleanup, we might actually remove these redundant lines here, but this is the estimate created by the line item quote system, not the AI system. The maintenance plan, that's created by the RFP Analyzer and AI Writer. And packages, okay, that was pulled in from our AI Writer and RFP Analyzer. And that is the first draft of the full proposal, going through the whole process, start to end, with the RFP Analyzer, line item quote system, AI Writer. Let us know what you think in the comments below, and click subscribe to keep up on the latest proposal writing tips with Proposal Kit.